Why do you think there's such a mainstream consensus that inflation is good for economies?
Well, exactly why to protect the extremely wealthy because all they own assets and they don't want to be in the dollar. So the lesser the more that the dollar loses its purchasing power, the wealthier that they become without actually doing any work. So it's like it's easy. It's like saying like the housing example is just a great one because everyone can relate to housing. It's like everyone thinks that they're getting rich if they own a house, but it's really the dollar just losing value. So you didn't really do any extra work. You just bought a house, right? But the house is now 10% worth more than what you bought it at. And that was because, of everything we just recently talked about was, interest rates went down, more people can afford that monthly payment. Maybe they put less money down than say 20%, they put 15 or 10% down. But everyone thinks they're getting rich because they say, "Oh, I bought the house for 500, now it's worth 600. I gained $100,000." But in reality, well, then where else are you going to go? Because everything else went up by that 10%, right? So once again, it's a zero net gain, but people think that they're getting wealthier because they see the numbers getting up. So it's a nice little trick in society where we can kind of, and it's kind of like call it a wealth effect. Have you heard of that before?
No.
All right. So the wealth effect is basically like if they own money in the stock market, and if they own a house and they have their housing value goes up, which, housing is now the most expensive it's ever been. The stock market's is the highest. It closed, near record highs today. So everything, if you have any of these financial assets, they're the highest in history. So you may not actually take out money on your house or out of stocks, but you may spend more money because you're like, oh, well, my house, I have $100,000 in value in my house that I can always refinance in the future if I want to get that equity out. So you go and you spend, you get a new car, new TV, and that's kind of like what caused the housing bubble, is that people thought they were so rich on paper because housing values kept on going up, and then they kept doubling down until it just couldn't anymore. So that's the wealth effect, is that you feel richer than you really are because your asset is going up in value, and that's what inflation is. So, and Jerome Powell recently at his last meeting said that, yeah, if you own financial assets and we're targeting inflation over 2%, it's going to benefit you.